Setup. So we all have to stand to the golf ball, but how we take our starting position can really influence how the club and the body move, and ultimately that can result in good shots or poorer shots out of the golf course. In today's video, we're going to show you the three of the most important things that you need to focus on when looking at your setup from the down the line view. Thank you for joining me here at the Forest of Arden. The hole behind me is the par 5 17th, and we're talking about setup. Now, we all have to set up the golf ball in some way, but what we're going to do in this video is we're going to focus on three really important parts of the setup, which are going to help you, control your body in the golf swing, control the club, and hopefully hit some better golf shots on the course. So in this particular video, you're going to learn about how to make sure you have good balance at setup. You're also going to learn how to make sure your arms are hanging correctly. And finally, you're going to make sure that your pelvis is in a nice neutral position. And those three things together are going to give you the greatest possible start to your golf swing. Now, this is going to be a very, very short series. We're going to do a second video following this when we look at the golf swing and the setup from the face-on view. But this one's going to be very much looking from down the line, and specifically with the irons, and we'll come to why that's important a little bit later. Just before we get into the video, if you're new to my channel, you're not a subscriber, I would absolutely love you to be a subscriber. It is absolutely free. There's 3 videos coming each and every week, just designed to help you understand the golf swing better, play some better golf, just hit some better shots, and just enjoy it when you get onto the course a little bit more. So click that link at the end of the video, and that will allow you to be a free subscriber. Right, we're going to get rid of the golf club to begin with, because we're going to specifically talk about how the body is creating some good balance points to begin with. So if I take an imaginary setup to this golf ball, imagine I've got my 6-iron in my hands. The first thing we're going to look at is balance points, and we're going to use the back of the armpits as a reference point for that. So as I take my starting position, I put a vertical line straight down from my armpits, or the back of my armpits. That should be in front of my knees and pretty much through the end of the laces or about the start of my toes. If I do that, I should find that my tailbone sits a little bit behind my heels. And those are really the checkpoints that I would need to suggest that I'm in good balance. My body is tilted over to the golf ball, but I've maintained some good balance. Poor balance would be where we see the back of the armpits getting too far out this way. This one is less common. More common would be where we see a little bit more this. You can see that the back of the armpits are more behind my knees and certainly nowhere near the end of my laces. And those golfers are really compromising their ability to basically create speed in the golf swing and maintain balance as they try and do that. So it's really important that we create this good balance. Now, if you're extremely tall or extremely short, your starting position might look a little different, but the checkpoints that we use are going to be very, very similar, and they're going to apply to most people. So armpits in front of the knees, through the end of the laces, start of the toes is a great checkpoint for you to make sure that you're starting off in good balance. Once we've done that and we have good balance, what we'd love the arms to do from there is pretty much just hang straight down and hold the golf club. If I'm creating this good posture with good balance, my arms will generally have room to do that. Quite commonly we see those golfers with poor balance, as I've already mentioned, and when my arms hang naturally, they're hanging far too close to my body. So those golfers tend to start with poor balance and have the arms too much outward away from them. This is not my arms hanging naturally, they're being forced out. And what this is going to do is really going to influence how my golf club moves in the early part of the golf swing. It's probably going to see my arms and the club moving a little bit too much around me. And so we're compromising the shape of the swing by how we set up to the golf ball. As you can probably see there, number 1 and number 2 are quite close related. If you can get the setup correct in terms of your balance, it becomes much easier to let those arms hang down. Here's a little checkpoint I want you to go through. Take your starting position, hands on the golf club, take your trail hand off and completely relax it. Now you'll notice that my arm didn't move too much, but what I can do now is I can see whether I was that golfer whose hands were too far out or my hands were too far in. So we want to make sure that when we take that trail hand off and we relax it, it's hanging opposite where it would go on the golf club. So now we've got good balance and we've got good arm hang. The final thing in this video we're going to cover is the pelvis position. We would like the pelvis to be neutral. Now the pelvis is going to create this look through the middle part of your body, the lower back and how it's influenced there. We're not going to be concerned too much with the upper back. I don't mind too much if you've got a little bit of bend over in the upper back. We certainly don't want you to be focusing on being really, really rigid here, but we're going to be specifically looking at the pelvis. Now, for many golfers, moving the pelvis at setup is difficult. You know, we sometimes have a little bit of difficulty trying to get a golfer to be aware of how to move their pelvis. But this is how I want you to think of it. Again, we're going to get rid of the golf club. Think about your belt buckle. When I stand up normally, my belt buckle points out pretty much horizontally away from me. As I take my starting position, it starts to point down towards the ground by a certain amount, depending basically on how much I tilt over the golf ball. A neutral pelvis is going to create a nice flat lower back. If I don't have my belt buckle enough down towards the ground, my pelvis is tucked under me too much, we'll see this look to the setup. And you can see how those hips look very tucked under, the lower back looks a bit arched, a bit curved, and this would be, for a lot of golfers, more comfortable. But it's obviously incorrect, but that's why we see so many golfers starting in that position. If I start to tip my belt buckle down towards the ground, we start to move back to a more neutral position. Some golfers will tip the pelvis too much and create this, what we call S posture, where we almost create this little sort of dent or curve in the lower back. My belt buckle at this point is tilted too much down towards the ground. This really limits and restricts how we can move the hips in the backswing. So we want to try and find something which is fairly neutral. Now, someone who's got good pelvic control should at setup be able to move between what we call S posture and C posture. And if you can move between S posture and C posture, theoretically you can find something in the middle where those hips are neutral, the pelvis is neutral, and the lower back is fairly flat. You may well need a reflector or a mirror to help you do this. And don't be surprised if you find it quite difficult to move your pelvis. All too often I'll see kind of this position, as I try and get the pelvis to tip under, we see all different movements in the body, but we really want to isolate that pelvis and be able to tip it in both ways, to tuck it more under, arch it more back. And if we can do that, as I say, we can try and find something which is in the middle. So I'm sure you've watched plenty of golf on TV, you've seen lots of good players, and they all take slightly different starting positions. But there's some commonalities across them. They generally have good balance at setup. They generally have a pelvic position which is fairly neutral, and they very often have the arms hanging straight down. With the driver, the arms potentially wouldn't hang straight down, they'd be hanging a little bit more outward. So this video, think about it a little bit more with the irons. Use this video to help you set yourself up better with the irons, because I can guarantee if you can get some good things happening at setup, it's much easier to control the body and the club in the swing, and also create speed with control. And basically we're all trying to do that. We're all trying to create a bit of speed, but still maintain the control. So starting position with a 6-iron, good balance points, good arm hang, pelvis is nice and neutral, and then I can go ahead and hit it. And that setup helped me hit a pretty good shot down into the fairway. Although 6-iron off a par 5 tee really isn't going to get it done. That's going to leave me probably at least a 3-wood and a pitching wedge left into the green. But setup, really important. A few little checkpoints there. Make sure you check back for that second video where we're going to be going through 3 checkpoints, but from the face-on view, because we can get the setup correct. As I say, we're going to give yourself the best chance of making a good golf swing. Thanks for watching. Usual stuff is down below, comments box down there. There's a like button. Give it a thumbs up if you liked it, and share it with a friend who you think might find this video useful. And also that clickable subscribe button if you'd like to be part of my channel, and make sure you don't miss any future videos. Thanks for watching. We'll see you back here again soon.